Moving ahead on our next session, ensuring learning relevance in a hybrid world, strategies and best practices. Introducing our thought leader, Mr. Joshua Sanath, Director of Learning and Development at 24/7 AI India. Mr. Sanath is a seasoned leader with 16 years of experience in learning and development across industries like travel, telecom, and retail. As the youngest director in his organization, he currently serves as the global lead of content design experience alongside training analytics and insights, driving impactful change on a global scale. So, welcoming Mr. Joshua Sanath.
So of course, there'll be some technical difficulties, but thankfully it was not the first speaker. We had Guncha here. Um, Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to see a packed crowd, and it is nerve-wracking sometimes to be the first speaker because it's a daunting task to either set the stage high, set the benchmark high, ensure there's a lot of engagement throughout the day, or it can completely go south where I'm absolutely boring and people will start walking out of this room. So my apologies to gain skills if that ever happens. Right, so today we will be talking about learning relevance in the hybrid world and what are the different strategies and best practices that we can incorporate basis our experiences, right? So I have about 20 slides and I have 20 minutes, I guess, 15 to 20 minutes. So I would like to rush through it. So let's begin. Does this work? Alrighty, it does. I think I need to be closer. Yeah. I need to be a bit closer. Yeah. Thank you. A couple of slides ahead, and apologies, guys. I was prepared. Slides weren't. Okay. So, thankfully, Guncha sort of set the stage, and there's a lot of information that she shared that I've also picked up, where we talk about a LinkedIn survey when it clearly says 94% of the employees stay to retain if they have learning, right? So that this is nothing new for us being in this L&D profession, but I just wanted to reiterate and put it out there that learning is always important irrespective of the environment that we are in. It could be hybrid, it could be face-to-face, right? Or even your running session in a blended way. Learning is always important. So, let's first, since it's the first session, let's ensure that we are all on the same path. Let's look at what's a common understanding when it comes to hybrid learning landscape, right? So it is another term for blended learning, which is a combination of your face-to-face instruction as well as your online learning components, right? And why and when did this change happen? This happened when technology became an integral part of learning. When that came into picture and people started using different ways of using technology to impart knowledge is when we thought about this blended approach. Now, one of the main challenges that our facilitators, or trainers, or educators, or whatever you call them, the challenge that they face in this hybrid learning is engagement, right? The ability to handle people in both modalities of work. You may run sessions which is purely classroom-led. Next day you're running a virtual sessions. Third day you're running sessions where we have people who are sitting in the class as well as logged in remotely. So these are the challenges that they do face, and how do they ensure that all the participants are quite engaged. However, with this hybrid setup, there are also great opportunities for us, right? Like there's opportunities for innovation, being flexible, and build a lot of personalized learning pathways, which is the word right now, right? Any LMS, or LXPs, they all talk about customized learning pathways as the way to go. Now, with this learning pathways and all these things that's happening, and this is again nothing new for us about what's changed, how the L&D landscape has changed over a period of time. And most of us in this room may have experienced these changes. People like us who've been in this industry for over 15, 20 years have been part of these evolution of learning. It all started with just learning, teaching people in terms of doing their job right, classroom sessions. Then we had technology in place, we had LMSs, then we said self-paced learning. Let's just not look at helping them to learn what they are doing now. Let's also empower them to be proficient in if they have to move up. And from there, because of some drivers that changed in terms of the employee expectation changes, we have millennials and Gen Z coming into the market, hybrid work, and a lot of advanced talent analytics in place. Now we have changed mostly in terms of co-creating the classes with our people, right? Most of the established L&D organizations, they have included, or they just don't focus in terms of your learners getting connected to your content, but they look at how learning can help those professionals grow, right? Now, learning is also part of your EVP. Most of the EVP documents that you have, or your employee value proposition documents you have, learning is one of the part where we talk about our prospects saying that, hey, this is how you can grow. Because these established L&D organizations, they pretty much work with these employees to collaborate with them, understand what they need, and they co-create the content for them. Now, having said that, let's just look at, is learning still relevant in the hybrid world, right? Now, which I'm sure everyone here agrees that learning is always relevant, but how relevant is it? Very specific to the hybrid setup. Now, there is always new work dynamics that we need to keep adapting to, and how do we adapt to, we have people working hybrid, they have to come to office sometimes, they have to use multiple tools. How do you enable them? It can be done through learning sessions and workshops. Technology proficiency is one of the key things that, at least in our organization, that we faced, because though we may be 22 years old organization, at least 50% of our people base have been in the company for more than 10 to 11 years, right, in the same organization. So that causes us some challenge that they may not be proficient with a lot of new collaboration technologies that we use in the remote place. A lot of new things coming in. Am I using all the features that it offers? So there's learning required there. Of course, through learning, if you have to maintain connections, ensure there is engagement between people who are working from home versus people who are working from office. Within the same team, how do we ensure that there is connection and engagement between them? With all of these things, we should not forget our leaders, right? Because for leaders, also we need to have some learning and coaching workshops so that they're able to manage their people remotely. How do I coach an individual who's sitting in some other city, right? Because I don't know their vocal cues, because most of our leaders may be trained on NLP and various aspects, but NLP doesn't work when you're in a virtual environment always, right? Well, there's only certain portion that can work. So it requires training. And of course, continuous improvement, reskilling, and upskilling on new elements. All these things, of course, helps the well-being of an employee, which actually Gunsha also spoke about, that as an employee, if I feel that I am learning every day, that they have a perfect growth pattern, whatever I do, I'm equipped for it, not just in terms of tools, but also in terms of ideas and strategies that I have to do my job better, will of course help in terms of their well-being. Now, how do we make this happen, right? So let's first look at our first best practice. It all comes down to the curriculum. How do we design the curriculum to make our content engageable, right? It's absolutely important that the content, as instruction designers or training leads, the content that you create has to adapt to any environment, right? Be it because we have been accustomed so frequently that we build content assuming that we have people in the class, right? Or if we say, okay, this is going to be online, we assume and we create for online. But most of the times we end up seeing that we will have half of the batch sitting in the classroom while another group will be joining remotely, right? Does my content cater to that? I may have activities planned for people in the room where they need to run around, walk around, do a lot of things. What do I do with people who are sitting at home, right? I'm sitting in a small room, I can't expect them to walk around, run around, do a treasure hunt or whatever, right? So it's important that your content that you're creating has all these elements in place, right? You have 3 different activities for the same concept, and it's up to the trainer to choose what is more apt in this situation. And this, the second statement is something that we all agree to, that great learning is about great design. How do I design my content? Because the human brain can embed only so much information, and how do I ensure that information lasts long? How do I ensure that retention is really, really long? Coincidentally, just yesterday I was talking to my colleague, and she was talking about the NLP piece, where there are millions of information that's out there, and as human brains, we are constrained to only about 28 or 138 bit of information at every second. So that means that if you're throwing in a lot of information to our people, I will pick up only what my brain can. A second individual can pick up only what they can. So there'll be different perspectives, right, in the same session. So it's absolutely important that whatever we design, it is minimalistic as possible, it is to the point, and you're not throwing a lot of information, right? Because we're not creating Black Mirror episodes where things are happening in foreground and pre-ground where you have to watch multiple times to understand the episode. So that's not what learning is. And your curriculum needs to have alternate learning pathways, and this is where you leverage technology to see what are the different elements that people can do self-paced learning, and not necessary classroom interventions. And that depends on the concept that you're driving. If it is, let's say, a sales workshop, while certain concepts can be self-paced, but most of the elements are workshop-related. How do you practice? You may need them to come in a face-to-face environment to drive that. So have that flexibility as well. And through collaborative projects, which is a given that most of us are practicing, I'm sure, drives this flexible curriculum design. Now, for that to happen, for me to actually have this curriculum and everything in place, I need technology. I need tools which will enhance the learning experience. I need tools that will enable collaboration between people who are working remotely as well as with people who are working from the office. We need to give them multiple resources for them to learn, right? It could be like your Coursera or Skillsoft, and there's another company called Bookboon. They also offer some variety of content, same content in ebook format, audio format, classroom sessions format. They get to choose. And as an organization, if we have this, not just Coursera or Skillsoft, but multiple such interfaces, each one has a different flair to it, different way of teaching. It doesn't become monotonous for the learner. They get to choose which is the most apt one for this concept, and they'll be able to pick it up for them. And of course, with all of that comes virtual reality, augmented reality. How do I ensure there is experiential training for people, site tours, and all of those things. You rather invest in your VR and AR setup than investing on multiple flight tickets for people to fly to different places and give them orientation. I know it doesn't sound right, but it really, really helps. The last point is absolutely important because a tool audit is something that is that every individual needs to do in their organization every quarterly at least. List out the different tools that you have or you use for learning and see, does that empower or enhance your blended learning? Does that suit your learners and your learning needs? If it doesn't, then you need to look for it. Look for other tools that can help you. While I can say all of these things, it is, and unfortunately, our leaders on top, our CEOs, they all believe in learning. They say, hey, learning is very important. 95% of people stay because learning, be creative, ensure it is engaging, and all of those things happen. But our CFO thinks differently, and we get a very small pie in our budgets, unfortunately. But yeah, it's up to us to see how do we utilize that teeny bitty crumbs that we get from our CFO. Active learning strategies. This is important again in terms of how do I keep my people engaged in these environments? How do I ensure that people in both modalities of work are understanding what I'm telling, and they understand, and there is retention of that knowledge for a longer period of time. So there are different ways to do it. How do I keep my content does not have non-obvious information? The content should just not be surprising, but very fluent and clear to understand for our people. If you have a lot of things on your slide, you're talking a lot of things at the same time, going back to the NLP technique, it will be difficult for our people to understand what you're saying. And remember, in school, we used to get pop quizzes, surprise tests, and all of those things. It is a learning technique that you can still use. It's about keeping people on the toes, especially if in a remote environment, because you don't know how they're distracted. In a classroom session, in the office, you define the training room, you know, okay, these are the charts that are there, these are the distractions and stuff. But if they're working from home, you have no control. You don't know what's happening in the background. You don't know if a baby is crying out there. You don't know if there's a poster out there that person is reading. So that's uncontrollable. So you need content that enables their engagement and their attention. Managing energy is very, very important when it comes to hybrid learning, because remember, I mean, while we are logged into any remote conference, right, let it be Teams or Zoom or WebEx, you always have a small window which shows your view, right? Now, there are studies that show that by seeing yourself, by watching yourself in these sessions and these things, you build a lot of self-awareness, right? And with self-awareness, you end up acting up in terms of the values, your values that resonate with you, and how do you showcase that. But on the flip side, self-awareness is not natural, right? It's not natural to human beings because we want to be ourselves sometimes. And this constant self-awareness, this constant self-monitoring or vigilance, over a period of time will exhaust your brain, right? You will not be able to continue that conversation for a long time. And we are in an environment where after your 45 minutes or 60 minutes meeting, you're immediately into another meeting. Your sessions also are followed immediately. So where does your brain get time to relax? Where does your brain get time to actually process the information that you just went through? They don't. So it is crucial as learning professionals, if you're running a 60-minute session, give a break to your people. They need to recoup from it, and then encourage them. A break is a break. You switching on to open your phone and checking the emails, checking your chat window, responding to people is not a break because you're still working. Break is when you actually do something that pleases you, right? You can play the Wordle of the day, or you want to go play with your pet, whatever you like doing, that should be a break time. And with that, we should be able to manage energy of our people. They come back refreshed, and so on and so forth. Personalized learning paths, the key word, everybody's talking about this. how important it is to create individual learning needs and abilities for our people. Because if something interests our learners, you know that they will pay attention. I want to give an example, short example. I know I heard the bell ring and a few more slides to go. There's this comedian, Kenny Sebastian. I'm sure very many would have heard about him. And in one of the podcasts, he was explaining that he loved to play the guitar. He wanted to learn to play the guitar. And he went to a class, he went to a professional place, and this person said, okay, you need to hold the guitar like this is the way, these are the chords, do this, do that, and so forth. He attended for 2 to 3 days, he got bored, oh man, I can't do this, I'm never playing guitar in my life. But after 2-3 years, his father still didn't force him exactly, he said, okay, why don't you try with a different tutor? He went to a different tutor, and this person, he started the entire session by taking the guitar and playing some sick lead, right? Some really complicated thing. And they were like, wow, that's happening. And all the tutor said is, do you also want to play like this? They're like, yeah, all right, let's do it. Let's teach. What's your favorite song? Let's learn that song. This is how you play that song. Oh, by the way, this is this chord. Oh, by the way, this is how you hold it when you're playing that song, right? It's same thing, but in a different approach. I'm interested, I'm excited, and this individual learned guitar way faster, right? And if you have heard him, if you have seen him, you know he's a great singer and guitar player as well. So by doing this, you know that your people own their learning journey. We use technology to enhance that. There are tools and systems. ChatGPT comes into place here where you have your first assessment, and that assessment sort of tells what is the right pathway for this individual basis, their proficiency levels on various skill set that is required for them to do the job. You may start with 20 people, you orient them, you assess them, and you need them all come to the same endpoint, but to get there, they take different pathways to get there. Different time as well, but you know that they are all together. And while that is happening, it's absolutely important for you to have checkpoints at different levels to ensure there is retention, are they following it, there are learning analytics in place so that you can incorporate and plan for, just give me another 2 minutes, yeah? And plan for any other interventions that require manual interventions for their learning. Continuous assessment feedback, we all know that. You need to ensure that the people are learning, what they are going through, there's knowledge retention, look at different insights, and absolutely important for you to give timely, constructive feedback. And how do you want to give feedback? It's up to you. Use technology here again. Do you want to give them an audio clipping feedback so they can listen at their own pace, because sitting with them, coaching them may not have the time. Video feedback is even more effective. We have tried that, and it is way more effective when it comes to video feedback. Or you can just create a simple ready reckoner and send it to them saying that, put this on your workstation, just refer to this every time you're doing your work, I'm sure you will get there. As simple as that, you should be able to do it. And the third point, the last point, is super important when it comes to us monitoring the participation rates and what are the engagement metrics, because we need to assess that if there is a learning content, are our people going through the entire content? What's the time that they're taking through the content? Because more or less when it comes to e-learning, I'm sure we have also done that. We've just clicked on, escape, next, just to complete it. Especially when it comes to compliance and InfoSec modules, SASH and POSH modules, most of them end up doing that, will be doing forever. But if you see that same happening with a concept, then there is a problem. What we end up doing is we say, oh, you know what, let's not give them skip option, let's not give them option to drag, they have to listen to it. Is that the right way to go about? Or for you to actually think, why are they even going forward? Is my training or is my content not captivating enough? What do I do differently? How do I add cliffhangers that people continue to see the video without me forcing them to do it? And if you get your engagement rates high by doing that, then you know that you have achieved when it comes to creating learning programs. This is something that we all know. I thought I had 20 minutes. Right? For our developers or our educators, it's important that they have playbooks, trainer toolkits, communities of practice, they have support and mentorship as well for them, enable them to do it. Because another time we always think about learner-centric, we also need to look about our facilitators. Are they equipped with all the information that they need to handle a hybrid learning setup? Art of Theatre is a great option. You may want to try. There are multiple organizations which does that. When it comes to facilitation and trainers, it works wonders for our people when they incorporate theoretic concepts when they're facilitating. Super engaging. I'll skip fast right now. Community building, important with it in terms of you align to your organization culture. The only point that I want to build here is any content that you build, or even if you acquire from somewhere else, it is important that you align it with your company's vision, mission, values as well. You make a statement saying that, okay, these are the things that you need to be doing. By doing this, we are enabling this value of the organization. By enabling this, we want to be the best person, we'll be 110% better than the others by doing this. So by inviting this, they feel that this is a very org-oriented training, and for me to reach my KPIs and KRAs, this is definitely connected. Quick thing, we forget this mostly when we create training content. Look at accessibility and inclusivity as well, because we have people from diverse backgrounds. We need to ensure that their learning experience is as equitable as possible. People from different cities may not have the same knowledge. So it's important that they all start at the same level and then you continue your learning journey with them. Look at alternate formats of learning, different videos. Even if you're showing some videos out there, even a small thing of having closed captioning in the video makes a difference, right? For people with audio issues, they can at least read through it. When you're building content as well, we love to put colors and lights and saying that, okay, red means this, yellow means that, and so forth. It is important while you show that, you also have the text, alternate text around it, right? Because you never know, you may have an audience who's colorblind. So you just putting information in terms of colors will not help them. You may think it's a small count, but studies say that 8% of the population in the world are colorblind. So if you have a group of 20, that's at least one of them in that room. One more to go. Communication updates, something that you follow. I'm sure I don't want to talk more over here, but just few points. Important in terms of setting up clear pathways and communication with your hybrid people of how they can reach out to you for any help. There are forums that you can create, different modes of announcement to continue to tell them that, hey, these learnings are in place, this is how it will help you, push it on WhatsApp, push it on notifications, send an email, do everything possible, right? Open line of communication always help to build rapport and trust with your employees. Evaluation iteration, my last concept on the slide. Important to have continuous improvement. We know about that, impact our teaching practices. It's also important to use learning analytics. So in 24/7, we have a different team who's dedicated on learning analytics, which talks about doing my conversations with your customers, what is the customer sentiment analysis, doing that call flow, where it has gone down, where it has gone better, what is the opportunities of this particular individual, and how do I work towards it. Critical defect analysis is a very, very old process that we've been following. It is basically that I know what are my defects when people hit production, look at the defects, where are those defects being caused, where it can be controlled, control that, start shaving it at different levels in training or recruitment or experiences, and eventually you will shave that entire defects completely. So the next group that comes in may come with new areas of improvement, but you're not dealing with the same issues and the new issues. You know this, you've seen this when it comes to iteration, what's the curve of forgetting, by ensuring that you reiterate information, that there is always learning. I won't get into this, a lot of things over here, but fortunately I am going to share this slide with each one of you. You will get to see this as well. So I don't want to look at a conclusion, otherwise he'll kick me out of the stage. All he called the security. Take a look at it, think of what's happening, what I spoke about, design, curriculum, engaging our people, personalized path, ensure that every content that you build is inclusive as well. No Q&A, I'll be around, we can do networking, you can always ask me questions on any specific things. Last slide, you will be happy. I just want to take a minute for you to quickly scan this QR code if possible. Quick feedback about this session, tell me what went right, what went wrong, how this can be better. And also in the feedback section, I've put a field where you can give your email address, and I will send out this deck to whoever's email address is present. So if you need this deck, go to the feedback section, give me feedback, put your email address, and then you will be able to see it. Alright, so that's my time. Actually, way past my time, my apologies. It was great interacting with you all, and I will love to network and talk to you through the sessions. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Joshua Sanath, for sharing your valuable insights on the topic ensuring learning relevance in a hybrid world. I request you please stay on the dais. To do the felicitation, I request Mr. Vikas Maheshwari, Global HR Transformation Leader at Biocon Biologics.